There is power behind every story we carry within. Every tragedy, no, yes, laugh, victory. And every testimony that is incubated within our souls have power. The power to transform, from tragedy to crown, from obstacle to opportunity. And all the moments in between make us wiser. Watch Candid Conversations with Charisa for impactful, unheard moments that will certainly spark your power and inner truth to shift, heal, and restore your life. It's time to get real, uncover, unlock, unpack, set free, and increase the dialogue to change a life. We all start somewhere and end in places of destiny. Get ready for the long-awaited Candid Conversations with Charisa.
2020 has been one of those blurry years, like very blurry, and I think it's almost we went from 2019 to 2021, and the last time I felt that way was 2015. 2015 was one of those years that I went from 2014, and then the event with my parents happened, and then 2015 was a blur, and then 2016. And having dealt with that in 2015, 7 years ago, I felt that 2020 was more of a breeze. And one of the things, there's three things that I learned that 2020 taught me, and the things that we went through in this great pandemic. And one was to be grateful for what I have and not remembering the things that I don't have. And I tried to encourage people to do that because there was so much people that were losing. They were losing their lives. They were losing family and friends. And they were losing their jobs. Therefore, they were losing money. And then you had a whole bunch of people who were losing their minds. And we were forgetting of the things that we actually do have and the things that we gained. Like one of the things that every single person gained in 2020 was time. Like we could not be so much great. I can't be more grateful for having that amount of time on my hands, because all the time before that, everyone is saying, oh, I wish I had more hours in a day. Oh man, I wish I had more time to spend time with my family. Oh, I wish I had more time to read. Wish I had more time to go to the beach and on vacation and do this and do that. And then they get all this time and they're complaining. And it taught me to be grateful for everything that I actually have. The little things, the time that I have now to spend with friends. Even I was grateful for the fact that I wasn't one of those that lost my job. So I appreciated it even more. I just was grateful for having something as small as running water and toilet paper, and like toilet paper became the thing of 2020 pandemic. But I at least had toilet paper, didn't have to run to the store and say, man, you have to be skimpy on this. No, like I was just grateful for having a bed to sleep in and a roof over my head, little things. So it taught me to be grateful for what I have and not be concerned with what I didn't have. Another thing that 2020 taught me was that life is short on a very long road. We are on a journey that, we know where we want to go, and some of us don't even know what that destination looks like. But even on that long road, life is this short. So you have to appreciate and live life one day at a time, because it is short. Your life is short. That's actually one thing I learned way back in 2014 when I lost the life of, no, I can't even just say 9 of some of the most amazing people in my life. Life is short, but the journey and the road that we're on is long. And I think we forget, because we're looking at this long road, because we know we haven't arrived at our destiny, we haven't arrived at where we're trying to go. So we tend to forget that, we say to ourselves, oh, I have all day to get there. Oh, I have tomorrow. Oh, I can't wait until next year. No, 2020 is showing us you have this particular moment and that's it. You have this day and that's it. You have this minute and that's it. Maybe you have this year and that's it. But 2020 showed us we don't even have that. From one year to the next, life changed. And so I am learning that as short as life is and as long as the road is, I must remember that I must appreciate the shortness of life, but be grateful that I have been given another day to continue on this long road and this long journey. And the other thing that I learned in 2020 was to mind my perspective. And I'm saying mind my perspective because the perspective is all about what's going on in my mind, and I must mind my mind. I must be careful of what I allow myself to think during these times. I must understand that I can't have the same perspective today that I had yesterday. And I can't take yesterday's perspective into tomorrow. Because again, everything is a season. So when I understand that this too shall pass, I'm able to, again, be so grateful for what I have today. Be so thankful for that I have more breath to breathe in this short life of mine. And then have a new perspective and understand that, okay, last year you were able to do all these things. And now this year came and you can't do anything. So now what am I going to do? Well, I can't mope. I can't be depressed. I can't fear. Like all of those things are negative. So what are the positives? What do I have control over? Well, I have control over how long I can sleep. I have control over what I can eat. I have control over how much weight I can gain. I have so much control over what I allow myself to create in the time of space that I have. So when we finally get to a place to start rolling again, I'm ready. So I've had to put a lot of things not even into perspective, but into a new perspective in order to get through this pandemic year. As far as making it through 2020 and pivoting through the pandemic and the effects that it brought on the world at large, because I did have plans on a few fronts. You know, I had marital plans, I had ministry plans, and my ministry would have been one that would have taken me traveling around the world. And then the pandemic happened and there was no traveling. The entire world shut down, so there was no traveling. So there was no going around the world, which is what I love to do. There were no more events happening, and so everything that I had planned got shut down. And then on the marriage front, because there were no more events, there were no gatherings, there was no more marriage plans as I thought. And in pivoting, remember earlier I said, like I couldn't have the same perspective I had the year before or even the day before. But desire is something. When you have a desire to do something, desire is what drives you to continue on this long road that we're on. But it also allows you to realize, I'm gonna get there no matter what. Where there's a will, there's a way. So no matter if it means that I gotta go around the long way, no matter if it means that I have to stop for a second, let these roadblocks go by and then keep going, like whatever it took to pivot to get to where I was going, because the destination ain't never changing. The purpose is never changing. The reason behind why I'm doing what I'm doing has never changed. Me deciding to get married didn't change. How I got there now, how I got to this destination is what needed to change. And so I made those changes, and you know, sometimes I decided at times to pause and wait for a moment, decided to make different changes. And one thing I appreciate about seasons and change, when things change, sometimes on the other side, it is so much brighter, so much bigger, so much better. Sometimes when seasons come and go, they bring beautiful flowers and just a beautiful weather. Like when it rains and the sun comes out after that, it's so much more shinier, so much more warmer. And it's like, okay, man, we couldn't go to the beach before the rain, but now that it's rain, it's come and gone and the sun is out, let's go to the beach. Why? The weather is beautiful. But you don't get that beauty without going through the season. You don't get that beauty without going through the change. And so I think about my marriage plans. We had planned to get married and have a big wedding in the Bahamas, and make a long story short, that didn't happen. But we still wanted to get married. And we didn't want, nor did we allow the effects of 2020 to stop us. So we got married under different conditions and with a different plan. And in getting married under that plan, the 2020 was happening, so I was home more. We were grounded. There wasn't any traveling happening. And I am so grateful, being grateful for what I have. I'm so grateful that I had that time, because in this first year of marriage, that time for us to bond and learn each other and adjust to each other, adjust to being married, was so necessary. And I would not have been able to do that had I been going left, right, and center, and had he been working the way he was working. So I'm grateful for the effects of the pivot. I'm grateful that we didn't say, you know what, we have to do more than pivot. We have to stop the game completely. No, in basketball, you don't stop a game when you're stuck. You literally hold the ball and then you pivot left and right with that left foot, but you never move your right. Why? Because at the end of the day, you're still knowing that the basket is gonna always be your destination. The basket never moves, you do. Your players around you, they do. Your one foot never does. And so we realized that, okay, we still wanna get married, let's do that, just how? And then after that season came and we got through that, then we realized, man, it's good that we can just stay here and be together and bond and adjust together, because marriage is, it in itself required adjustments and change. So I am just grateful that I was able to pivot in ministry and in traveling and doing what I do as far as purpose is concerned. Now that we're here in 2020, 2021, I'm so grateful that I had all that time to think and create, because now that we're opening up, the world is opening up and we're coming at the tail end of the pandemic, I'm so ready. I'm so pumped. I'm so energetic. I'm so restored. To the point where I have everybody else around me who say, you ready to go? Let's go. And that's because there was a moment of, I'm not even gonna call it rest, I'm gonna call it a pause that required me to pivot, that created this, it showed me more pieces of my purpose. And so now I'm just ready to take off. As far as upleveling, I see my brand going to places that I can't even imagine. And I say that because there was a moment between 2020 and 2021 where I felt not stuck, I just felt stagnant. I felt stale. In the Bahamas, we have these things where, man, them chips stale. Stale means they're not crunchy, they're soft, and they've lost their vibrantness and their crunch. But I really did, and I'm like, man, why is this? And so I started searching, I started digging, I started reaching for what is this thing that I need to first destroy to get to a place where I can up-level myself and really go to this next level that I know I want to be at. And then I realized that there was some things that I had to deal with internally that was holding me back that I didn't know. Grief was one of them. Dealing with the loss of what I've been through was one of them. Grief was there, but I really and truly didn't want to face it and deal with it. I was fearful and anxious. I had to deal with those things. And then I was telling myself some things that was limiting me growing. So I had to deal with those. Man, I have dealt with those. I'm still in the process of dealing with them because I don't ever feel that I've arrived. But now that I've dealt with them, let me tell you something. It has just created a story. It has further encouraged and brought validity and quality to the story of my life, that as I live out my story, I want to tell my story over and over again so that I can encourage and inspire someone else to want to do the inward work before they even start the outward manifestation. And I want to be able to encourage, I want to be able to transform, but I can't do that until I can encourage myself. I can't do that until I can transform myself. I can't do that until I've done the work myself. And so I'm doing the work myself. And so in doing the work myself, I feel that I have so much more energy and desire to want to be able to tell someone, man, this is how you do it. Let me walk you through that. So they cannot say to me, you don't know what I'm talking about. Let me tell you something, I do. Because I'm on this road with you. I'm right here with you. You are not alone. So as I tell my story and as I build my story, my brand now becomes my story. Forget this face, forget the colors, forget my brand becomes my story. And my story you cannot take away from me. The world cannot take away from me. I don't think the world is even ready for the levels and layers of my story, because I didn't even know that part of my story had these layers and levels underneath until I started to do the internal work. So you guys are literally just riding on the wings with me. And as I go, you go. And I'm big on literally when I rise, I'm taking people with me. I'm taking you with me. I can't do it alone. So as many people as I can say, you ready? You're gonna jump on this with me because I'm going regardless. Let's go. And we just gonna sail. Like, I'm so looking forward to where my story, where God, where my purpose is going to take us.